I like the saying that just because you don't go to a laundromat doesn't mean your clothes aren't clean. You do it at home. Just because you don't go to school or your kids don't doesn't mean they're not going to learn.
Hey everyone, this is Yvette Hampton. Welcome back to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. I am back this week with my new friend, Kara Walker, and I am so glad to have her with me. This is going to be a fun conversation, but before we get into it, I want to thank our sponsor, CTC Math. If you guys are looking for a great online math program, go to ctcmath.com, try them out for free, see if it's a good fit for you and your kids. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. They are a fantastic program and they will teach math to your kids so that you don't have to. ctcmath.com. Kara Walker, welcome to the podcast. It's so nice to meet you. And I always enjoy talking with my guests before we hit the record button and getting to know them a little bit. And it's kind of funny because some people may not realize this, but we actually cushion in time when we say, come on the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast, but plan 90 minutes instead of 60 minutes because I want that time to get to know our guests before we just jump into a cold conversation. And so it's been fun getting to chat with you and just learn about you and your family. So now that I know a little bit about you, tell our audience who you are and what you do.
Well, thanks. Back at you. And also, guys, she didn't tell me to say this, but I love math. So I'm sure that math program is great. I guess. I don't know. I didn't do that math, but
Yeah.
I really like math. So thumbs up to that. I actually have a math minor.
Oh, do
But
you?
I'm
Okay.
Kara. Yeah, I'm Kara. It's nice to meet you. And I graduate. Thing I'm here to talk about. Okay. I was homeschooled and I graduated. Well, then I went to college and then I graduated from college debt free. So I'm on a quest to help other students do the same. I have a podcast, Money and Mental Peace, and a course that has just come out that helps students go through college debt free. But a lot of people I connect with are like what I used to be, right? A lot of people are homeschooled. And there were some unique ways that I kind of got homeschooled for college. If that sounds weird, it is kind of weird. And we can talk more about that. But a few other things. I like to say I'm a 20-something Christian entrepreneur, amateur snowboarder, recovering overachiever, and I like all the geeky stuff like goal setting and budgeting and debt-free
Nice.
stuff. And I want to encourage others to do that, especially at a young age, because like after you graduate or your student high school or college, to be free from debt, they can go into exactly whatever God's guiding them to. Not that God can't use us when we have debt, but I don't want students to just have to get a job that is pretty bad and to just pay for stuff. I just
Yeah.
pay off loans. So I have that passion and that's what I'm here to talk about.
Yeah, love it. And you're in Michigan, which, I have lots of friends who live in snowy lands like Michigan. And I said to you, I don't know how you do it. It's beautiful to
Love
look at in
it.
pictures and I just don't know. But you said you're an amateur snowboarder. And so you probably love the snow and being able to slide down those mountains.
Not even that, but just like walking in the snow and looking at it. I don't know. I just like, but
Yeah,
I think there's different body like acclimations
right.
because my body actually feels good in the winter. It
Ah,
it gives me like an extra, like when I did cross country, I ran the best in the cold probably because I wanted to be done. So I just there's and when I go into the heat, I feel like I'm always 10 degrees hotter than other people, but I think
yeah.
our blood acclimates. So
Yeah. Isn't that funny? You
that's my
probably
spiel.
like to hear the sound of the snow crunching underneath your
I
snow
love
boots,
it.
don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's weird, but
Oh, that's not weird. We live in Oklahoma now, and so it snows. Well, we've been here 2 winters, and it has snowed both of those winters, and it is fun. But it snows here for a couple of days, and then it melts, and I'm good with that. So, so you have a podcast. It's called Money and Mental Peace, and you talk about how you got through college debt free. And this is incredible. And you were homeschooled growing up. So I want to talk about both those things. But first, I want to talk about your experience as a homeschooler, because we often have people ask us, bring someone on who was homeschooled. And so we have had many people on who have been homeschooled, but they're those second generation homeschoolers. And you are more of a recent homeschool grad. And so it's not often that we have 20 somethings on the podcast who were more recent homeschool grads. I would love for you to tell us about your experience being homeschooled, because I really want to bring encouragement to parents who oftentimes they're like, am I doing the right thing by homeschooling my kids? Am I going to mess them up somehow? Share your experience with us and what that was like for you to be homeschooled.
Yeah. I like the saying that just because you don't go to a laundromat doesn't mean your clothes aren't clean. You do it at home. Just because you don't go to school or your kids don't doesn't mean they're not going to learn stuff, whatever. So so I was homeschooled elementary school. I actually went to public school for middle school and it was a perfect timing for me, but then went back to homeschooled in high school, which tends to not be the case. A lot of times people aren't like ready to finish homeschooling their kids in high school, but it can be done and
Uh-huh.
very well, I think. There is a little bit of a difference. My mom is a teacher, so actually she knew some background stuff, but I feel like that's like more affirmation that even though she's a teacher, she's like, let's get you out of the schools. you know
Yeah.
Homeschooling was awesome. I had so many field trips and events. I did prom every year. I had friends I saw several times a week, and in a period of that time both my parents worked full time, which you're like, what's going on? I was older and I had a groove set and I was doing stuff with co-ops and I had all of my classes set and I would go with friends, family to there. And it gave me so much independence on even like getting myself going and doing my work. Literally, it is probably the one thing that prepared me for college because it was nothing different. Like it
Right.
was like classes like a couple times a week and then like that was the same for college. And it was fantastic. And I learned stuff, online. I learned stuff from other parents, some of whom were like one couple was a teacher and a college professor, and it depends. You don't have to go and do co-ops, right? But
Mhm.
that worked amazingly for me. And as we were talking before, I'm an only child, which is kind of weird in the homeschool world, but my parents
Yeah.
couldn't have any more kids. And I didn't mention, but they did take 9 years to have me, like you were mentioning.
Oh, wow.
And so it was good for me to go and do the things. But most of the times people were like, "Will you have socialization?" I'm like, I have as much socialization as I need. If I had to do 8 hours of school every day in class and then homework, like I just feel like it was like wasting my time. Like I had all this
Yeah.
time to do other things and sport stuff and YMCA and community sports. Like it was great. And it literally was the thing that set me up for college. So I know different states are different also with like testing or not testing, and that can depend, of course. But there are definitely also some podcasts out there for homeschooling in high school. So just letting
Yeah.
you know it's possible and I lived. So
Yeah. You live to tell about it. What are you most grateful for in regards to your homeschool journey?
I think most grateful for, well, there's kind of an abstract and a specific. So I mean the
Okay.
abstract
Share
is
them
just
both.
like my parents were willing to do this and we're like, it's cool. Like my parents are kind of rebels against society in some ways, right? Even
Yeah.
though we're not like crazy rebellious. And just that there were options. I think that's the biggest thing, options. And then like really like the practical part is like you might not like this for your kids, but if your kids are in high school and they can do it like this, I mean, I would rather stay up late and work on stuff and sleep in, and that's what worked for my body. And I
Hmm.
actually went to college and was an honors student. So I mean, like it's just the flexibility of like that actual things or working in my pajamas is great and is not something that I think, I mean, it depends on your kid, of course, but is not
Right.
something that like you have to be like, got to get up at this time really early and get dressed and do all the things. So I liked the options, the flexibility. And I have a funny story of one family we knew who, when they started to homeschool their kids, the dad wanted to make them go out and wait for the bus every morning, even in the winter, so they knew how good they had it.
Oh
I
gosh.
don't think I don't think he made them do it, but it was a threat. So I think
That's a
just
good
all of
threat.
that. Mhm.
That's hilarious. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
What we do at IEW is break through the noise of the grammar and the writing prompts, and we say, this is what you do, step by step. And I've witnessed it over and over again, both watching Andrew teach and hearing from parents, this is the best writing program. We've made it so easy and made it really affordable. So any mom can teach writing to their children using our course, and we guarantee it.
To try 3 weeks of free lessons, visit IEW.com. We are back with Kara. So we're talking about your college experience, and you mentioned that you were basically homeschooled for college. Explain that to us and how that worked.
All right, yeah, it sounds weird. I'm gonna say first I can tell you my story quick and then some
Okay.
things I've learned that would make what I did free actually. Like I didn't learn it then. I should have known it then, but that's okay. So some people might have heard of College Plus, Unbound, Lumerit Scholar. Now have been all different names. But the idea is it's a company that walks you through testing out of classes of content you already know and doing it on your own time and wavelength. Now, I didn't actually sign up for that program because I was like, I'll just figure it out on my own. But I did it with another friend, which is cool because there was community. She had been homeschooled and was also an only child, so it worked well together. So, majority of what I did was CLEP tests.
Okay.
CLEP stands for College Level Examination Program. Somebody could do it with content they already know. If someone's bilingual, you could go test out of Spanish and you really
Yeah.
don't need to study. But for other content, some people don't know that you don't have to just know something already to test out. You can study for it. There are actually study guides online for all of these CLEP tests. And so things like a bunch of sciences, math, social science, history, business, all of these classes that if you take the test, you can study for it ahead if you want, take as much time to study or not, get an online study guide. We took the test at a local university, wherever there's a testing center. There's different locations across the US. And if we passed, we got 3 to 6 college credits.
Wow.
And every test was only $100.
Wow.
So several tests I did, I got 6 college credits for $100, which to put that into perspective, and this was a little while ago, my community college was like $100 a credit, which is actually insanely cheap. At when I went to university, it was like $500 a credit, and that was not even a private school.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
there's that, and how I was so 2 years I did this for a bunch of prereqs. Now there are other classes. There are DSSTs, which it's Dante's Subject Standardized Tests.
Okay.
Sure, we can write that down somewhere. And they have other ones, but what's cool is they have more upper level classes even that are beyond the prerequisites. I did not take as many of those. And the key though is I had to look into which universities accepted these. So CLEPs have very good transferability. However, it's still good to check.
Mhm.
But I had several schools I was looking at, and they all would have worked with it, so I figured I would be safe. And if I didn't end up using a test or two, I know this sounds like a lot of money, but I was only out a couple $100 compared to 10,000 or something. I don't know, whatever amount.
Right.
And so that's how, for several years, I would meet once a week with my friend to study stuff together. I would study stuff on my own, and I'd go take a test. And I wasn't in any school at the moment, but I was preparing things for a degree I was looking toward at a school. And
Mhm.
that's why I said I was essentially homeschooled in college, because I still just stayed home and did that. I studied on my own time. It was exactly what I had learned about in high school, and I had frequent times to meet with friends to study, and then just other stuff. We did just church and sport activities anyways. And I went on to do that, and then I transferred and got to the next points. And now I've learned quite a bit since then that could make it even better for people listening. I don't know, do you want me to bring that up
Yeah,
right
well,
now?
you know what? We're out of time, but let's do
Okay.
that on Wednesday. Let's come back and talk about that
Okay.
because we want the easiest way and the most practical way for us to be able to help our kids, for those who are college bound, to get through college with no debt if possible, or as little debt as possible. So thank you
And I
so
like
much
how
for
you
being
said
with
college
us.
bound, because not every kid needs to go to college.
No, they don't. Absolutely not. Tell us really quickly what your podcast is called again, Kara.
Money and mental peace. And I taught quite a bit to Christian college girls because that's who I was. I was talking to who I was, but all of the college money content is applicable to anyone. So I basically help Christian college students graduate from college debt free with scholarships and other school hacks.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Okay, we'll be back on Wednesday to continue this conversation. If you have not yet signed up for our newsletter, go to schoolhouserocked.com and sign up there so you know what's going on in the world of Schoolhouse Rocked. Also, if you've not left a review for this podcast, please leave a review. Go to iTunes and let others know how this podcast is a blessing to you so that they will be encouraged to listen as well. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you back here on Wednesday. Bye.
Education is discipleship, and this is something I didn't understand until I was probably 3 years into homeschooling. The Bible teaches us in Luke 6:40 that when a student is fully trained, he will be like his teacher. And as we look around the culture right now, I think it begs the question, who is teaching our children? Who is teaching our children, and what are they teaching our children? And to me, the primary benefit of having my children home with me is I am able to impart my worldview to my children.